Well, Technology Metals Australia has upgraded its vanadium ore reserves estimates, but almost a third. But what is vanadium and who wants it? Ian Prentice, Technology Metals Australia's MD, knows better than most, and he joins us now. Ian, welcome to the program. Talk us through the product and what is it used for? Give us an insight so our audience has some idea.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on board. So vanadium predominantly used in steel. There's alloy in steel, so high strength, low alloy steel is the predominant use. So construction, motor vehicles, across the board, there's a lot of vanadium that's used in steel. But the big emerging sector in vanadium consumption is in the battery sector, stationary storage batteries. So we're talking very large scale, grid scale type battery installations, and that's where I guess the last few years has been quite a lot of interest into that space, and that's where we see a lot of growth in the midterm.
Where do you see that growth? I mean, in terms of region by region, and given what we've been hearing in the market of late, what sort of landscape do you see going forward?
Yeah, so look, I think like a lot of commodities, China has been the leader in that space. China is the biggest producer and consumer of vanadium across the board, but it's also building some of the largest batteries, the vanadium redox flow batteries in the world. So they're sort of at the forefront, but the technology is really strongly coming out of the US. Japan's been active in the technology, and I guess going back to the mid '80s, the technology was actually developed in the University of New South Wales. So we've had a long legacy with this technology in the VRFB, but yeah, right now I think China, the US, and then into Europe as well. And we just recently had an announcement out of Saudi Arabia where they're looking to build a very large vanadium redox flow battery facility, which will be supported by a German company. So there's a real huge groundswell of growth coming along now in that space.
So Ian, before these batteries are potentially built, you have to go and of course get the vanadium to the customers. Talk us through this Gabonintha project that you've got. I know that we mentioned in the introduction that there's been an estimate upgrade. Tell us about the actual site. Where are you up to when it comes to activities there? How's it going?
Yeah, so we actually released a definitive feasibility study in August of last year. So that demonstrated very long life, very low cost, large scale production centre there. As you say, we've now just recently announced a 32% increase to our reserve position there. So we're now looking at a 22.5 year mine life based on our updated reserve. So that's the sort of scale of project we've got. We also just recently announced that we had our mining leases granted. So at the end of August, our mining leases came through as well. So we've had a lot of progress over the last few months at the project level. We're right in the midst of the environmental approvals process at the moment, and that's the sort of the last piece of the puzzle as far as progressing the project development. But the other key for us is also engaging in the vanadium market. So getting customers and offtake agreements with customers across the world is a really big focus for us.
So Ian, in order to go and do all that, it costs money. Have you your balance sheet ready to go, or do you potentially see the need to go and raise capital in the near term?
So we actually raised a little bit of capital back in June of this year, and that was really focused on the work programs we've got in front of us at the moment. So delivery of that updated reserve, delivery of the mining leases, and also moving through the environmental approvals pathway. The project itself will need to be funded, and that's a much larger number than we've currently got in our bank account. So that certainly there will be another round of financing required to build the project, and that's a big part of what we're doing. As I say, engaging with customers, talking with potential financiers, groups like the Northern Australian Infrastructure Facility who are looking at investing into infrastructure in the north of Australia and where our project sits nicely. So all those sort of conversations are moving along as well as part of the whole package to build the project.
Certainly a very interesting space, and I've noticed your share prices are up about double from the start of the year when I was checking out before. So we'll definitely have to go and check with you in the near future. Ian Prentice, Technology Metals Australia MD, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.